Permitted to record,
Yep, I see that.
and pee is stored in the balls.
Yeah, accurate.
Science.
That's your anatomy lesson today.
It is science.
I bet you Casey found that out when he went to the bathroom.
I did.
He cupped them gently as he peed.
How does that work for girls, though? Because girls don't have balls.
Your balls are on the inside.
They're called ovaries.
Bam.
Oh, so yeah, it comes from that?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
stored in the ovaries.
Ew.
Girls have inside balls.
Oh my god. We need to move on. Oh
Hi,
my god.
Everybody. It's
Pushing the
Struggle
balls
City.
aside.
We're doing our natural thing by struggling.
Wait, am I doing the intro?
Yeah,
I
fuck it,
thought
sure.
so, considering you basically did it.
I was going to do like a proper intro.
My
Go
name is
ahead. You
Dave.
can do a proper intro. No, Dave, you're not doing it. Casey's doing it. Because every time me or you do it, it's very like, but then when Casey does it, it's very like, pow, like in your face.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
So I'm going to need silence for 3, 2. Hey, it's Struggle City. We're still quarantined. We're still going mad. It's Casey, Dave, Miss, and Dave. We're still bullshitting while everybody else is still dying.
That did get very dark really quick.
Yeah.
It's going to get dark.
That's normal.
And
It's going to
only-
get dark. So, because we're going to talk about death. Because
It's not really like depressing death, though. It's just kind of like what your beliefs are about it.
Death isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
As Dr. Manhattan told us, a living body has the same molecular structure as a dead one.
That's really not comforting at all.
Yeah, it's
we're
totally
all made
comforting.
up of stars.
We are all junk.
We're all made up of meat.
Yum.
Meat.
Anyway, Missy, why don't you kick it off? Like, this was
Okay.
your idea, so.
This was my idea because somewhat recently, I guess within like the past couple of years, I have become a lot more spiritual. And that's more for like personal reasons, but I have found a lot of comfort in this idea, and I didn't come up with it on my own or anything. Like, I read this book by a legitimate medium, and it's all about like her answering questions about what happens when you die and what's on the other side and all
Are you
of
sure
that
she
kind of
wasn't
stuff.
a large?
Yes, I am very sure. Yeah, so I just really liked what she had to say about it. So I've never thought that I was religious, you know, and that's funny to say because like my whole side of the family is like super hardcore Catholic, and I was just never into that. I didn't understand it. But I did believe that there was a God, and I believe that there was Jesus. But I don't understand how some people say that like they're the same person. Like, that doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. So I believe in heaven and hell, and I think that when we die, if we go to heaven, God will answer all of the questions you have ever had in your life, and it can be about anything and everything. And that has brought me a lot of comfort because there's so many situations that go completely differently than how you would expect it to go. And even just having like a conversation with a friend and they're like, oh, something happened to me and I don't want to talk about it or whatever. And then you could like die and be like, oh, what happened to that person? And then you would know. So I've never really, like, I've kind of lost my anxiety over not knowing certain things. So I think that's helped a lot. And I believe that we have a lesson to learn while we're here, and we don't know what it is, obviously. But then once we die, like, we're kind of reminded and we're like, oh, okay, so I was supposed to learn X, Y, and Z while I was there on Earth, and I didn't fully learn that. So if you want, you can be reincarnated and then try it again. And I like how that's a choice instead of like forcing you to be reincarnated, or to basically say, no, that's it, you're done. And no negativity whatsoever. Like when you get into heaven, I don't know so much about hell. I haven't really thought about it because I don't think I'm going to go there. So, like, what's the point of thinking of it? And I think that we can visit, not really like as ghosts, but I believe in ghosts too. So that's kind of like meh. Um, but yeah, I also think that like everything happens for a reason. Like, I don't think there's coincidences. And I think that we go through our entire life cycle before we're reincarnated and we know exactly what's going to happen. And I don't know if we can change it or not while we're up there, but at least we know what we're getting into. So that makes me feel better that, like, if I make some terrible decision, it's okay because that was what was meant to happen. So that's my gist.
So side note, anytime I hear the word medium, I always think of one of my favorite jokes. And it's just basically, yo, so I got a medium dick. I can talk to ghosts.
Oh, okie dokie.
I'm doing a recording with my friends.
That's fine.
Yeah. It's for our podcast for YouTube. Yeah. You're home early.
Guys' podcast.
Huh?
I said I need to look up your guys' podcast.
Okay. Okay. I'm talking.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later. Sorry, my mom came home like super early.
I know, we heard all of it.
We did.
Sorry.
We heard every single word.
All right. Anyway, you were saying. Oh, Dave's gone.
I'm still here.
Hey.
I'm just trying to fix a lag issue. Anyway.
So
Who
you were
else
saying.
thinks about death stuff? Come on, Dave.
All right, so I guess you want me to kind of talk about what I think about death, or do you want me to comment on what Missy said?
You do whatever you want.
I don't know what I want because
Do both at the same time.
Okay, easy. All right, so I want to believe that we are reincarnated. I like to think that that is the thing where we just come back and we're just constantly existing, but in different ways and impacting the planet and others and various different styles and methodologies. But another part of me is like, nothing happens. As simple as that, I guess.
Okay.
I guess deep down, I don't think anything happens. It's just the big dark afterwards. And then our bodies, get reabsorbed into the earth and we replenish it with our nutrients from our meat suits.
Our meat suits. So you seem to look at it as a very scientific way, it seems.
Yeah, because that's kind of what's there for us to see. Everything else is not provable per se,
Mm-hmm.
but nonetheless is fun to entertain and look at and hope it exists, but doesn't necessarily mean it does.
I legitimately hope there's nothing after death, because if I have to spend like an afterlife talking to goofballs like that Zach Baggins.
Here we go.
It was Bilbo Baggins when he said Baggins. That's all I thought about. Who's
No,
Zach
I don't think you
Baggins?
have to interact like with any spirit that you don't want to.
I'm just also of the belief that there's just nothing after this.
And I respect that, but I don't understand it at all. How can there be nothing?
Just as easily as there can be something.
But like,
mean,
where do you go? I
You
mean,
don't go anywhere. You go into the ground and that's it.
And then you
but,
become a
like,
tree or grass.
Your meat suit decays and that's it.
but you don't become a tree, Dave, because you're buried in a casket.
You could
Not the
become
way
a
I'm
tree.
going.
Well,
You can have
I
your
don't think we
ashes-
should have caskets, honestly.
That's the way it can go. You can have your
100%.
ashes like put into a sapling.
Yes.
And that's how it should be. Like, I think that makes more sense to just like either do that or literally just put a body in the ground. Like, don't do the casket and all of that. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, actually, that has a lot to do with
kitty.
the Catholic faith, and that's the reason why there's so much embalming fluid going on currently,
Mhm.
like nowadays. It started with the Egyptians, but it continued because of the Christians.
I don't think you need to embalm though if they get cremated, and I think a lot of people are choosing cremation anymore.
Oh yeah, because we're all poor.
Yeah.
It also
I
makes
don't-
good toppings on souffles.
I'm sorry, what?
It also makes a good topping on a souffle.
Okay.
When I die, I want my body to be stuffed and mounted, like taxidermied.
Oh, I thought you just wanted somebody to mount you.
I mean, I don't know if that's your thing. Go ahead. I'll be dead. I'm not using that meat bag anymore.
That meat
Stop
sack.
saying meat bag.
That's what we are.
It's gross though.
We are meat sacks that are driven by less electricity found in a AA battery.
Yeah, but it sounds like every time you say that, it just reminds me of cannibalism, and you know how I feel about that.
And you know how I feel about it.
I know.
No, I want to be like taxidermy, but I want like each orifice of my body to do stuff. Like I want my nips to like dispense like ketchup and mustard or something.
Ew.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to donate my body to science, but it's kind of like, what can they
yeah.
even discover anymore?
Lots.
Yeah?
Yeah. We're like another frontier that we still haven't completely discovered.
We know nothing,
Fascinating.
basically.
We know some things.
We still basically know nothing.
Well, that's what I would like to do, is donate my body to science.
What do you want to do, Kat?
I know I'm an organ donor.
I was just going to ask that, actually. I am too. What about you, Case?
Fuck no.
No?
I have no interest in helping anybody after I die.
And that's where it
Damn.
got dark.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, but like, why? Because what if? Because
mine.
Oh, mine. I thought you said money.
Mine.
I was like, you're dead. You don't have no purpose for money. Yeah, but you're not using it anymore,
Right.
and somebody could really need it.
That sucks for them.
Oh my god.
Or
I did
just
tell you that, like,
or just give it to a significant other. So this way they can sell it on Craigslist.
ew. No.
That's also
Be
fine.
helping
I'm also
someone.
okay with that.
Oh my god. I did tell you though that my students didn't know what it meant to be an organ donor, right?
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind
They
of
were It was
crazy.
scary. They didn't know. I think they thought it was like they didn't understand that like you had to be dead for it. Like they kind of thought that like they thought that like if you got into a car accident or something and you like go to the hospital and they are
Borrow
like,
a fucking
hey,
liver.
yeah, like, can we have a piece of this? Because you're already injured. And I was like, no, like you're dead at that point. Like, oh my God. It was just surprising.
That's funny.
I had no idea. Yeah. You know, it's funny because like whenever I talk about this type of thing with people, like the minute that they start saying things like, oh, I believe that God will save us all, I'm like, oh my God, shut up. You know, like I don't want to hear it. Like it's just annoying to me.
Yeah.
But then I basically said that. But like I said, like I'm not religious. Like I don't feel like I have to follow a set of rules or like go to church every Sunday. And if you do that, that's fine. But like I would never want to do that. I've been to church a couple times and I
Sorry.
never got it. I never understood it. Like, when do you stand? When do you kneel? Why can't I go up and get the cracker? You know, like, it took me forever to understand why I couldn't do that.
I actually can't enter churches because I tend to burst into flame.
Uh-huh.
So that's an issue.
Maybe you're going to hell.
Same, actually.
Well, Dave, you and I both attended religious educational institutions.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I was also an altar server for like my entire time from 5th grade to 12th grade.
Yeah, and like there's no better way to really kill off any religious inclination than to deal with shit like that.
Oh yeah, it either goes one of
Which
two
is
ways.
ironic.
Yeah,
It's either
That's not what's supposed to happen.
you're either like a hardcore Christian coming out of it, or you become an atheist.
no, not necessarily. There is that third path where you're conveniently Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That drives me nuts.
you're not religious until like for some reason it just like an event in the world just triggers your Christometer.
Yeah, I feel.
Or
I
because
feel like,
you want to look a certain way.
Right.
I guess I kind of fall into like a light version of that because I am the godfather of 2 children.
That doesn't count. I mean, like more like the people that picket things that are like that claim to be pro-life and all that.
No.
Don't get me started.
Because like those people will tend to be conveniently Christian.
Yeah.
More so than just like the compounded crazy people.
Actually, you know what? Can I talk about that for a second? Okay, cool. I'm gonna do it. So I was looking at videos on Facebook and I came across this woman who she calls herself like the abortion lady or something. I don't fully know, but she's like very like pro-life and like, oh, abortion is bad, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, okay, let's watch this and see where I can like poke holes in her argument. And this one person asked her, she was like, how would you solve the problem in like the foster care system and like orphanages and things? Because sometimes people will get an abortion because they don't want to put their kids into foster care. And the woman completely turned it around and she was like, well, that's not the problem. Like, we're talking about murdering children, and you want to eliminate the sufferer so that they don't have to suffer in general. And I was like, yeah, isn't that better though than like a lifetime of suffering? And like, she wouldn't answer the question. And then she turned it around and she was like, do you get mad at the Diabetes Foundation for not solving the cancer problem? And the woman was like, they're not the same thing. So,
What the fuck?
Yeah. And then the abortion lady was like, well, yeah, this isn't the same thing either. And I was like, are you out of your mind? Like, what the fuck? It was amazing. Like, you're so fucked up.
So you saying abortion lady, this is a weird side street.
Okay.
At the bookstore, whenever like there's a book fair, like the visiting school would be able to name a drink in the cafe.
Okay.
One of the schools I visited was Maternity BVM.
Okay.
So they named their cafe drink the Materminator. And I just, as I'm working that night, I just start doodling like this like crazy guy in a trench coat with just running around with hangers.
Oh my god, that's so bad. Oh, Jesus
That's what
Christ.
you think of it.
Talk about the
Funny.
lamest superhero.
Yeah.
Or would he be a
Wow.
villain?
Neither. He just
It
he's like
depends.
chaotic neutral.
He's an anti-hero.
Just chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
He's Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I love
Deadpool with
Deadpool.
hangers.
Good Lord. And
Oh
hopefully
my
some
god.
anesthesia so that they don't have to feel it.
Totally by surprise.
We need Jesus.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. Let's get back on track.
Yeah.
So death.
Yeah.
You said you think you're going to end up in heaven, but
It did.
I'm like legitimately okay with going to hell.
That's where you lose me though, because you don't really believe in that. So
I don't, but like the idea of hell sounds
Mhm.
rad.
but it's like according to like the Catholic religion, it's like, a sea of fire and like constant torture and misery.
How's that any different?
That was really upsetting. Are you okay?
I mean,
But no, like in my mind, there's way more interesting people in hell than there are in heaven.
Yeah, but you're gonna
And
be
then
in like
there's, like,
physical pain
There's like,
constantly.
all the different levels you can visit. You can hang out with like the devil and his gay boyfriend. Like it sounds fine.
But see, I think that, and I'm gonna sound like super Catholic by this, but like I think that's kind of
Are you,
the image.
are you channeling your sister?
Ew,
Oof.
I hope not.
oof.
But I think that that's the image that society has drawn up for us now, that hell is like this really cool place and Lucifer is great, and you don't have to be on your best behavior all the time, and it's a fun thing to go to hell. And it's like, but that's not what it originally was though. Like, this was supposed to be behave and be a good human being, and then you'll be
No.
rewarded for it.
No, it was a way for the church to bully people into subservience.
Well, to the church, that's probably the same thing, what
Yeah.
we just said.
We
Yes,
see
Dave.
you, Dave.
Okay. Ricky Gervais tweeted at one time that if you don't sin, then what did Gervais, whatever. If you don't sin, then what did Jesus die for?
It's a good point.
Well, it's also human nature, and I think they even know that. But the point is to acknowledge it and then try to be better.
That's why you don't. That's why you shouldn't trust religion, because it's got people behind it. It's got human beings behind it, and they
Mhm.
definitely don't have others' best interests in mind.
But
Catholic
like they
Church.
should. In a perfect world,
They
that's
should,
what
but
it's
they don't.
supposed to be.
Just look at that Joel Osteen motherfucker.
Yeah.
Eeh.
Hurricane Harvey and everything, right?
Yep.
He didn't let people into his super church or whatever
Yep.
for
Any of
safety.
those mega church motherfuckers.
Yeah. If you preach the Bible and then you don't practice the Bible, get the fuck out of here. The Bible has some
That,
good
you know
shit
what
in it.
though? That is such a recurring theme to me, and that drives me crazy. Like that's what all Catholic people seem to do. And I'm not trying to stereotype or anything, but that's just what I've noticed. And it's annoying. Like, just be a good person.
It's very much a case of do as I do, not as I, or do as I say, not as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
Jesus seemed like a cool person. He seemed like a dumb hippie, but he seemed like an alright dude. I don't believe he was magic. I'm sure he was a real dude, but
he was
he's
a great
definitely not
degenerate.
magic.
I will
He was
say
a-
what happened to him was awful.
It wasn't. It was one of his disciples got it worse. I think it was Peter
Wasn't he hung upside down?
and
Or
an
something?
X. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he got it worse.
But I think he said that he didn't want to be crucified the same way because he wasn't like worthy enough or something.
Right.
Like he didn't want to be the same as Jesus.
Yeah, but like I said, I think he got the worst. Even though like Jesus had like his little S&M parade where he had the crown of thorns, he was getting whipped.
You know.
Oh my god.
Is that not the appropriate way to describe that?
No, that like makes me physically sad.
Isn't that that's a station of the cross, right? Jesus forgets his safety word.
Yeah.
You don't ever forget it.
Well, he did.
Yeah, he apparently did.
Too far.
No, they're with. I was talking about this.
The Romans were super into that kind of shit too. So I mean, like,
They were
Maybe
big
they
into
were.
it.
Oh my god.
there was
Can
also
that
a
be the
whipping
title of this
session before.
episode?
What?
Jesus forgot his safety word.
No.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We
I
still
like
got some time.
All right. Well, let me ask you this then. I'm like trying to get back on track.
What
So
track?
do you the track that we're trying to make? So do you think that like I keep saying like and it's driving me crazy. But do you think that there are coincidences or that everything happens for a reason?
So it's funny you mentioned coincidences.
Okay.
There's a show I just finished up today actually on Amazon called Hellier, Hellier.
Okay.
And it's about a group of it's a documentary about a group of paranormal investigators investigating events of what they call high strangeness. It all turns out to be really wild, unlikely coincidences while they're investigating what starts out as them investigating accounts of goblin creatures in Kentucky.
All
Well,
right.
from there, it spider webs out into aliens and extra or ultra dimensional beings and occults, occultist groups hiding out in the forest and hate hills of Kentucky.
I believe that.
But like, I don't believe anything they're doing is real. I
Mhm.
believe they believe it's real,
Yeah.
but it's just I don't think you can read into coincidences like that because watching these people for the last 20 hours and just all like the weird coincidences that they keep finding, I feel like they it's too much of a stretch.
Okay. I used to think the same thing, and then I think it just hit a little bit more like personally for me. So then it was kind of okay, yeah, this is not a coincidence, and like I don't really think coincidences are a thing anymore. But I don't know, it's interesting to think about at least. What about you, Dave?
I know when I was younger, I used to believe everything happened for a reason, and I did a lot of meaning making because of that. Now I believe things are more coincidences, but I'm still making meaning out of the coincidences.
Okay.
instead of
So-
everything being, for a reason. It's like, oh, random shit is happening, but let me make the most of it while I can.
So again, you're like in between me and Casey.
Yeah, I mean, accidentally. This has definitely been more of a recent revelation of mine because of a podcast I've been listening to. It's been making me more mindful. Shout out to Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. Just
Fucking
saying. Just
Oh
saying.
my god.
Like, fucking
How does that make you more mindful?
It's because they do spiritual practices. And that's what I'm pulling away from, and not so much the Harry Potter stuff. It just happens that it's Harry Potter. But just the way they approach things and they question things, and they both went to divinity school, and they're both atheists. So it's still like a very mind-opening experience, not just for text, but just for everyday life. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. I think I'm just kind of surprised that like that's where you're getting it from.
Yeah, I was surprised too. Wasn't expecting it.
The other issue I have with coincidence kind of ties into fiction and fantasy writing, because
Okay.
a lot of the times you come across the idea of like a chosen one,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and and I feel like in a story, once the idea of prophecy comes into play,
Hmm.
then what's the point? Because it kind of strips the whole idea of free will away. And if things are, if coincidences are kind of like part of the motion of things that are meant to happen, then what's the point to anything if things are preordained? Why bother with the illusion of free will?
See, I used to struggle with that too. And then when I read that book, it was kind of like, well, if I decided on everything that was going to happen in my life before I got here, then I already had free will to do it. Does that make sense?
What not well more I was more going for something else is making those decisions for you, and you think
Mhm.
you think you're making them.
Right. But see, I was not good with that. Like that bothered me. So I just kind of moved to this way of it. That's Dave's contribution. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Casey. We're all kind of like, once you get into the concept of chosen ones and prophecies and everything's laid out, then what's the point of anything at that point? If
But
there's a
that's
grand
also in
plan.
books. That's not in real life, right? That's what you're talking about when it's in
Isn't it?
books.
A lot of
Is it just
Christian
books?
and Jewish and other religion teachings is that there's a grand plan, and
Mhm.
we're all here for a purpose. So we all have our own prophecies in a way. That there is an end game for us already predetermined. So then what's the
that
point
kinda
of
goes
reaching
back-
free will?
That goes back to what I was saying, though. If we all have our individual prophecies, our individual lessons, and that's to achieve like spiritual peace for oneself, I think that's what we as individuals eventually lead up to. And that's what we're looking for.
Eh.
I concur, Dave. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, then.
My only other point would be the Big Bang.
I hate that show.
It's like it was so that too. Both happened randomly and created something bigger than themselves that really shouldn't have happened to begin with. Like it was a completely random act of two energy particles colliding
Was
into
it,
each other.
though? Was it random?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yes.
I don't know. At the risk of sounding super religious, maybe that was God doing that on purpose to create it.
But like, looking at it like that, then what's the purpose of God if there's no people to like worship or really honestly create him? Like, what is a God without beliefs?
But you have people believing in him, so I don't.
Not at the beginning. Not at that moment that you're stating. There is nothing.
Well,
at that
right,
moment.
right. But I think that just leads into the whole like creation of things. Like you have to create something before you can manipulate it.
It kind of reminds me of the magicians and the two goat gods. They
Yeah.
create an entire world to have them basically suck their dick.
Number number. What dicks?
And then one of them ended up leaving because it didn't agree.
And then he made his own little shitty world.
A Minecraft
All right,
world,
well-
a little cube.
Let me ask you this then,
No.
because you guys grew up in religious education. What do you think of the whole Adam and Eve story?
That's a good
Bullshit.
creation story.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun little mythology.
Like,
What about the people though who think it legitimately happened?
They're dumb.
yeah.
Okay, I kind of agree.
They're very dumb.
Mhm.
If you're a hardcore Bible thumper and you believe that anything in that Bible happened, you should probably get yourself checked out. It's the equivalent of believing that Harry Potter is real.
Well, it bothers me that people still believe in that because they'll like
It
blame.
bothers me that people believe in Harry Potter too.
Okay, no, but like that people will blame women for so much because Eve ate the apple or whatever, and it's kind of like, just knock it the fuck off, like enough. Plus, how would the rest of the world become a thing if it was only the two of them, and then they have like 10 kids or whatever, and then those kids can only procreate with their siblings, and then that would just be super incestuous, and it's like, ugh,
But that's the myth. That's
It would explain a lot.
gross. It's gross. Not a fan.
I mean, it explains a lot, honestly.
It really
You know what
does.
though? For like the longest time, I felt very disconnected from my family because my immediate family decided not to raise us Catholic, and the rest of them would like go to church and they knew the Bible and the scriptures and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, that kind of sucks that I'm not like a part of that because I don't feel connected. And I was talking to my grandfather about it, and it was just me and him in the house. And I was like, yeah, like I was never baptized. I was never anything like that. And it's just kind of weird. And he was like, well, actually, I have something to tell you. And I was like, oh, okay, what? And he was like, I baptized you. And I was like, what do you mean you baptized me? And he was like, yeah, I was watching you one day and I baptized you just in the kitchen sink. And then he gave me some reason like why he could do it, because he was like the grandfather or something. I don't really know the rules.
That's super fucking weird.
I actually thought it was very sweet, and it made me feel a lot more connected to my family, which was nice.
All right, I got a little story too with the limited amount of time we have left.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, random people can baptize, at least in Catholicism,
Mhm.
with as the purest water you can possibly find, and it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly legit. There has to be no paperwork. It's fine.
So kitchen sink water.
Yeah, that's fine.
Pee.
But reverse story. I was raised Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. Wanted to be a priest at one point. The whole shebang. And my entire family on my mom's side was raised Catholic as well. My dad's side was Baptist, and my aunt at one point said to my mom, or my mom overheard her, saying that all Catholics are going to hell.
Okay.
I've always felt very disjointed from that side of the family because I was Catholic.
Right.
So-
That would make sense. That would be like starting a war, essentially.
I mean, my family is in turmoil, so yes.
Yeah.
It's funny you have a family member that did that. My dad's sister, my aunt, is one of those convenient Catholics.
Hmm.
And when she found out that I bought like manga, the Japanese comic books,
Hmm.
she told me I needed to repent and save my soul.
Oof. I
That's
hope you
funny.
didn't.
Also,
No, he didn't.
one final side note. My new favorite thing on Twitter, the pictures of priests with water guns shooting babies.
Yes.
I've seen that.
That's my new favorite thing on Twitter right now.
Oh god, that's
I saw that
hysterical.
too.
I
It's
just don't
accurate.
understand the idea of baptism in general. Like, you're already here. Why do you need to be reborn in sacred water? Like, what?
Because the water you originally come out of is dirty and bloody.
And filled with your own poop.
Yes.
Yeah, but like we can't help that. The moms can't help that. And that was the way that God intended it, apparently. So how does that just goes against itself in general. So again, Catholic religion is stupid, in my opinion.
I mean, like, it's a lot safer than Judaism, where the way you get baptized as a man, they snip the tip.
What age is that? Isn't that like 13 or something?
No, it's like
Oh.
it's like around the same time as a Christian baptism, right?
Yeah, it's like days.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, at least you don't really feel it then.
What? No,
Remember
you still
it.
feel it.
Yeah, but you don't remember it.
Still messed up.
Yeah, no, it is for sure.
It's like if you're roofied and then someone decided to punch you in the face repeatedly just because you don't remember it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
And on that note,
I hope you
that's
guys
enough.
can forget this episode. Like we're gonna
this has
forget
been
it.
another quarantine jam of Struggle City.
Mhm.
Do the usual, do the likes, do the subscribes, do the follows.
Ooh, share
Yell
it,
at us.
because we're hopefully at this point either close to or at 500 total listens on Anchor. So that would be really cool if we could get there.
That would be cool. I'd be
Neat.
all right with that.
All right, that's
But-
it. Bye.
Okay.